If somebody were to come into this room and they decided to give you all $100,000 apiece. Do you realize that somebody did that and they all had $100,000 apiece and they went on a shopping spree? Each one of them did. And interesting, one of the ladies that I interviewed, she said, you know, I went into this big shopping mall and I was looking all through the furniture and the carpet, and I found this carpet store and had this really high-priced carpet back in the corner. It was like $150 a yard. She said it was the ugliest carpet I ever saw. So I bought enough to fill my whole house. And then later on she went into the furniture and she was looking around all the furniture and she found the ugliest carpet, or the ugly couch and chairs, and it was the most expensive. And she bought all of it. Filled her house up with this ugly carpet, this ugly furniture, and then she decided to go buy a bed. She bought the hardest, the roughest bed, and it was very expensive as well. And inside her mind, yours too, we have furniture that makes us uncomfortable, and it's costly, and it's cost you a lot. Inside of ourselves, we have storerooms of uncomfortable furniture, uncomfortable memories, uncomfortable events. And it reminds me of this guy. He goes, when you go into the storeroom of pain in your mind, how do you deal with all that? And I said, no, say that again. He said, you know, when I go into the storeroom of my mind of pain, you know, I have these rooms full of painful memories and stuff. I said, wow, what do you do about that? I said, won't you clean the room out? Because inside you, you do have storerooms of stuff. And you know, the crazy thing is, no matter how much you drink, no matter how much cigarettes you smoke, how much pot or drugs or alcohol or food you eat, you still take you with you. And all the stuff inside. And we take this stuff. We smoke, we eat, we drink, we do whatever it is. We work ourselves to death so we won't think. And then what happens, the older you get, things start to slow down. And then you start to wonder why my life is such a mess. And they really start to, it gets worse. Because now they have to be by themselves. And their thinking processes. And all this stuff inside them. And so what we have to begin to discover is how you think, how to change how you feel, and begin to release it. Now, guys, sometimes you can address stuff, when you just address physical stuff without ever going to whatever that is that you don't want to go to, you can tap around the perimeter of it. You can walk around it. You don't have to go in there. Eventually, it will disappear and fade. That's how it works. Everything represents everything. Just do the little pieces. Now, the crazy thing is, everything we do, everything we feel, everything we produce inside of our mind is ours. But it's not real. But it seems real. Because why? Feelings. So if you know how to change the feelings, you can change whatever the references are. Does that make sense? So I'm kind of curious, do you know what affirmations are? Now, some of you have been to the seminar. Don't give the secret. What are affirmations? Anybody know what affirmations are? Somebody tell me what affirmations are. Famous.
Positive statements about things that you want to be or become or are.
Part of it is what the thinker thinks, the prover proves.
Say that again.
What the thinker thinks, the prover proves.
Okay.
So if you think you're beautiful, you will be.
That's right.
If you think you're ugly, you will be.
That's right.
Because
Affirmation.
you'll set out to prove it.
You make it true.
There are positive statements that you repeat to yourself so that you can reinforce it in your brain.
There you go.
Affirmations are anything you believe, whether they're positive or negative. They're just things you believe.
There you go. Affirmations are not just what you say. Most people think it's what you say. Affirmations are what you say over and over again. You affirm it, you affirm it, you affirm it. But affirmations are not only the words you say, but it's also the pictures you make up in your mind. Do you understand what I'm saying? I had, let's see, I had a picture. I had this lady who had this picture who had somebody in it that she didn't like of her wedding. All right? Here it is. She's looking at the picture of the wedding, and that person is in the picture, and she feels bad every time she looks at the picture. Right? So that's an affirmation. Do you realize that? Affirmations are not only words, but it's also the images you create within your mind. Because you can affirm something positive or negative by what you think. Affirmations are not only words, not only pictures, but it's the emotions you continuously to produce, which also affirms whatever it is, good or negative. Does that make sense? So if you go throughout your day and you're continuously feeling rejected, guess what you're affirming? Rejection. Guess what you can be really good at? Rejections. Does that make sense? Now, if you come from an environment or relationships where anger is a major emotional driver, guess what you're affirming? Anger. Guess what you get more of? Anger. And of course, if you look in Louise Hay's Heal Your Body, anger could show itself up in cancer, show itself in arthritis, show itself in all sorts of ways, depending on how you think and process the information physically. Does that make sense? So what are affirmations? Affirmations are whatever you affirm, good or negative. And how do you do it? Pictures? You can affirm with pictures, images. So that's why you have to be really conscious of what's going on. Say if you're driving to work and you're thinking about work, what feelings are following what you think? Because you know what feelings follow will how you represent, see, and produce at work. If you go home and you're thinking about your husband or your wife or you're thinking about whatever it is when you get home, that emotion that you bring in and the pictures and the things you say will impact whatever it is you do. So one of the most important things that I have you do, and that is to buy a happy journal. You know, I had a lot of people, and I say, get a journal, and the first thing they have is a negative reaction. Why? They always wrote bad stuff in their journal. And somebody read their journal. Someone got hurt. So now they have an aversion to writing in a journal because fear of what? Someone's going to betray them and read their stuff, and fear of, because all they have is putting bad stuff in it. So that's why in your journal we want to write positive emotional states. Things that make you feel good. Now the cool thing is, you know, I took my journal with me. Did I bring it? I meant to bring it. When I was sitting there on the beach, and I closed my eyes, and I listened to the birds, and I saw that little bird that he just landed right in front of me. He goes, "Whack!" and he took off. I was thinking, what the heck is he trying to tell me here? And I can remember the ocean. I remember going to the ocean. I said, "Oh my God, it's so cold," but sand was nice and hot before I got there, and I memorized what it feels like to be there. I mean, I can see the bird in my mind right now. I can feel the sand. I can feel the sun on me. That is an emotional state. Practice positive emotional states, guys. Remember last week when we had somebody in the chair, several people, do you realize that they went into emotional states? Which is also a form of what? Hypnosis. Exactly. You've got to break all the hypnosis. You've got to break all those trances. You know why? Because somebody's going to ring a bell. Just like when she was sharing, she threw this lamb cake away, and all of a sudden she felt like it was going to the slaughter. Well, she and I, she shared the story. Her dad, slaughtered her lamb. Well, so that was an unconscious emotional state, wasn't it? Now, she didn't. Rita, did you consciously associate the two when you threw the lamb away, the cake away? Oh, yeah. Oh, then you did? Okay.